Coming at you live from all over Ohio. A Cleveland Browns podcast full of laughs, rants, fun, and stats. A place where all Browns fans' voices are welcome and heard. A show that aims to inform and entertain you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Barking Browns Show.
What is going on? We are back, a 3-week hiatus. We are back. We are better than ever. We're here to knock your socks and other stuff off. I don't know, just all kinds of other stuff, man. Like, listen, this is episode 105. I'm Jacob. That's Nick. We are brought to you, as always, by our friends over at Homage. I got the Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett NFL Jam. We got the Joe Thomas going on over there. Go check out our friends over at Homage, best vintage apparel company. And you know what? Best apparel company in the business. Go check them out. If you're watching the replay of this, there will be a link down in the description, as well as to our friends at BetJack. You want to get some skin on some of these games, do it with a local Ohio-based sportsbook. Do it with our friends over at BetJack. Links down in the description down below. If you are new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. Get us the thumbs up. If you're listening to the audio and you're on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review. 5-star rating and a review. Write it up. It's really great. You want to support us? You want to get to see more bullshit? Join the YouTube channel for $2.99 a month and do it all. In a special announcement coming in about 10 minutes about this year's charity fundraiser. So that is the housekeeping. Subscribe. Thumbs up. What is up?
Kept house. I missed you first and foremost. I missed everyone here. We had a couple people in the waiting room early today, which is incredibly flattering. You guys are nuts and we love you. And I'm just here to totally not overreact to all the Browns clips.
We are overreacting. That is, I will tell anybody watching this show right now, it is going to be about an hour of overreaction. So if you don't want that, leave. It's because that's what it's going to be.
It's going to be. And I tweeted out right before we went live because I love when, by the way, the Browns do such good work with the app and by putting out all the photos from like the day of camp, and they give it to you all right there in the app. I love going through them because I feel like you can recognize themes from what the Browns post. And so right before we went live, I think the first thing that really stuck out to me, Jacob, is just there's about 50 some photos that the Browns released today. At least 5 of them are Myles Garrett standing right next to Zadarius Smith, and our friends over at the Faithful Dogs posted the video today of Myles and Zadarius competing against each other on the sled.
Oh, for the get off, yeah, that was a cool video.
And you know what? I know we were all excited. We've talked all kinds of Zadarius Smith, but now you're seeing it. Now you're seeing it in camp. You're seeing these two next to each other, and it was noticeable to me that it felt like they were attached to the hip from the photos you saw, from the videos you saw, and I know we're gonna get into all kinds of offense, but I think equally as important is the fact that now you've got Zadarius Smith here, you've got Myles Garrett there. From day one, it looks like they've got some chemistry going on, and I'm feeling good about it, Jacob.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of notes, and we'll get into those notes here pretty soon. A lot of defensive notes, a lot of offensive notes. I got a lot of schematic things that I observed last week as well as today. So this is not just going to be mandatory minicamp that started today on Tuesday, but also some observations that I had last week with some of the voluntary stuff and some of the stuff that has come up since we have not been on air. For the last time we were on air was 3 weeks ago. So a lot of stuff that's popped up, and I'm going to get into that. But I actually want to start with a Daryl Ryder. I always want to call him Reuter, and I know that's not his name, and so I always have to stop, collect myself, and go forward because I think this tweet is important. And Daryl even prepares us for this tweet by saying, take it with a grain of salt. And I agree. But if anybody wants to say that this is just a homerish tweet, they don't know Daryl, because Daryl has been around. And I think he gets a knock sometimes for being a little pessimistic, but I think it's the nature of having covered this franchise while it has been very bad. But Daryl is not like blow sunshine up your butt kind of guy if he doesn't believe it. That's what I'm just trying to set the tone for this tweet. But this is just, I saw him say something a lot earlier today too, but he said this tweet saying, I can't think of any Browns quarterback I've watched that looked as good as Deshaun Watson did today in practice. Yes, it's June. Yes, it's practice. Yes, there's no pads. And no, I'm not reserving hotels in Las Vegas for February, but honestly, that was a lot of fun to watch. And I think I saw him earlier in the day say a similar comment in the sense that, like, in no kind of Browns event since he has been around has he watched something like that. Hayden Grove commented several times about he looks brilliant. I mean, there was for a while he had not let a pass had not hit the ground, and I know at a certain point Hayden Grove tweeted that one hit the ground, so I don't know if like a second or a third or anything like that happened after that, but because I'm not sure if his tweet was at the end of practice or not. But the point was, if anything hit the ground, he said there was one that hit the ground, and it was because it was a great play from Greg Newsome.
Wow.
It was a pass breakup from Greg Newsome. That was his point. He was like, look at this. Like, I get it. Throw all the grains of salt on that you want. It is June. It absolutely is June. But the point is, the people that have been there for like, we keep getting these comments about, off-season champs, all that other stuff. Yeah, I know. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it in June. You just take it on the chin until they finally give us a reason to be able to clap back. But but the point is, with what we have seen, we are being told by people that have been there during off-season champs mode, right? People that were there when there was what turned out to be fake optimism. And these people are saying, hey, man, like, this dude is as good as I've ever seen him. Now, will he be as good as anything we've ever seen in Cleveland come September? I don't know yet. I think so. But but sitting here right now, we can't say that. But what we can say is, at least from a pure talent practice sort of situation, this is what we were advertised to get. And we're going to get into a lot more of that. But just my point being that you're seeing a lot of really, really, I've never seen the media this positive about a quarterback in Cleveland, is my point, ever. Well, even when Baker was coming off his rookie year, when there was optimism, even coming off of 2020 when there was optimism, I've never seen the media talk about a pure talent the way they're talking about this situation.
Well, Daryl's the same guy who went on Pittsburgh radio and they asked how the Browns would win the playoff game, and he said they don't, right? So, and I'm not sure, I don't say that to try and dunk on Daryl. I say it to provide perspective.
Right.
He's not going to
blow smoke up your ass. He's just not going to do it.
Yeah, he's not going to do that. Right. And he took a lot of heat for those comments. And so Daryl's gonna give it to you straight. And so when he says that stuff, it sticks out to me. And you know what? I'll give you a little preview of the tweet that's coming tomorrow morning, because for so many years we have always heard it's totally normal for the defense to be ahead of the early in camp. That's just the standard. There's nothing to worry about. Well, you certainly, and I know it's just day one of mandatory minicamp. I get it, but you certainly don't hear any of that rhetoric, right? And I am really encouraged by that, because and you've said, we've been here many times before, right? And so I think the greatest way we can try to identify real substance is by comparing it to what we've already seen. And I cannot think of a Browns camp previous to this one where the reports weren't that the defense was ahead of the offense. I don't remember one. And so to see Deshaun just throw, and not to just one guy, by the way, like Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Bell, just all of these guys are getting in on this action, and against corners that I feel really excited about this year, by the way. So all of those things are really encouraging to me. And you see some of the videos of guys just missing routine throws in some other places, and I just think it's a complete 180 when you look at what's going on here and what we've seen from the beginnings of Deshaun. Because really, last year when all of this is happening, they already knew Deshaun was going to be suspended, because so Jacoby and the offense and all of that, it's just a very different way you have to approach camp. So when you open the gates today, it's a completely different mindset, because you're going to have Deshaun, and you've had this whole offseason with him, and there's people a lot smarter than me, and thanks to you, Jacob, I've really picked up on listening to Jake Burns and talking about the formations that we're hoping to see, and the X's and O's type of things, which I'm gonna serve it up to you here, because we're already seeing a lot different variations and usages schematically, are we not?
Yeah. We're really getting into that. I am trying to pull this up here. I got a bunch of notes when it comes to schemes and formations, and a lot of just the way they're being used. It's so very interesting. Where's my thing? One thing real quick before we get into the big nitty gritty of the X's and O's. It is time for me to officially throw my hat in the ring for this year's charity fundraiser, which will go through probably the first week of July. We do have a goal to raise $1,000. That is what we are looking at. I will obviously make a donation myself. But this is what's going to happen. Like last year, we raised money and I ate a hot chip. I did the one chip challenge live. This year, live, I will get shot with a paintball gun for once for every $50 we raise. So every $50 that is raised, I'll get up to 20 times. So up to $1,000 raised, I will get shot 20 times with a paintball gun. Yes. And like if somebody comes in and makes like just this massive donation, we'll find a way for you to get to pull the trigger on some of these. Like and we'll live stream that. If you are watching with us live over in the YouTube comments, I'm going to paste it right now. There is a link right there in which Drew, oh no, I'm going to assuredly I'm assuredly going to regret this. He says how much to pull the trigger? $100. If you do $100 yourself, and you could do it over time. So if you donate 20 now and 80 later or something like that, I'll count that. If you donate $100 yourself, you'll get to pull the trigger at least twice. So we're raising money for Project Sanctuary. That is an organization that is committed to helping military families heal. And this is the statement from them. Project Sanctuary believes that every military family has the ability to heal, offering comprehensive human-centered family support and therapeutic retreat programs for military families. Our evidence-based program is the only one treating the entire family. Active duty service members from all branches of the military and the veterans from all eras of service. So if someone could also tell me if that link that I shared on Facebook or on YouTube works, if somebody watching right now could just click on it, you don't have to donate. I just want to make sure that it works. And if you're watching this on listening on Apple Podcasts or watching us on YouTube, there is a link, the replay of YouTube and not watching it live. There is a link down in the description. You can check that out, and we can have a lot of fun sometime in July during the dead period. We'll spend a Saturday shooting me with paintballs.
It's going to be an interesting affair, to say the least. And so, kudos to you, Jacob, because you always have some kind of charity and
some kind of stupid idea.
and I love that. I think it's amazing, Jacob. And I just want to say on a lesser note, because we never followed up. So before the Browns schedule released, I had told you that if the Browns didn't win their home opener, I would do my own hot chip challenge, which so now we know is against the Bengals, and we will be there with Andy, which that's going to be.
Should we bring a one chip, and then like here's my question. So do we bring the one chip, and then like in the parking garage afterwards live stream you eating it?
Well, the Browns aren't going to lose.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying. We bring it so that you can eat it.
Oh yeah, you know what? I might do a celebration spicy chip. I might just end up eating the chip in it. Yeah, you know what? I think I can't. I have never. So just real quick, I have never like done a post Browns win celebration in the Muni lot. I think that would be really cool. I would do a spicy chip in the Muni lot celebration of them winning, or I guess.
Drew says, "Will you do it in the stands?" I don't know if we'd have good enough service. Well, what we could do instead of live streaming it, we could just record it and upload it later because we probably wouldn't have enough signal to live stream from the stadium just because of or the Muni. But either one, let's do that. Listen, we are one chipping it after week 1. All right.
But in the meantime, we've got Jacob, we've got charity, we've got paintball, we've got all kinds of great cause.
And I'm not going to wear a shirt for this. I'm going to like wear a groin protector and like a face protector, but no shirt. Shoot me right. I'll even turn around. You want to shoot me in the butt? Donate $100 and I'll let you come down and shoot me in the butt. I don't care. All right. Let's get into it. We want to go offense or defense. Where you want to
go? Offense is the sexy thing, right?
Okay.
Everyone's excited about the offense. Let's get a little sexy, shall we?
Most exciting thing that I have seen so far is aligning Elijah Moore up in the backfield as a running back in shotgun formations. I saw it last week. I saw it today. There was a situation last week in which they lined him up there and then they ran like kind of a jet motion and got him out of there. They also did like a jet motion play action in the shotgun, which was like, whoa, really good. I just think Elijah Moore, oh God, like if you could go back in time and tell 2021 Jacob that he would get Elijah Moore after all and get to have this conversation, he would cream his pants. So he's just because we've got this. I can hit your nipple from 20 yards. Sorry, Drew just sent a message. He said I can hit your nipple from 20 yards.
Well, there
and
it is.
I just happened to read it like mid sentence, and I'm like, oh my God, this show is terrible. Anyway, like people like turning this thing on, they're like, these guys are bumbling idiots. And it's like, yes, and that's fine. But he's just, you're trying to figure out this third running back situation. Like, what are you going to do? Well, one way to kind of combat not having like, and I say this in air quotes because I think that I kind of leaning that Demetric Felton is running back 3, but we can get into that in a little bit. But not having like a really confident like running back 3 necessarily on the roster, but using a guy that has been effective in college on running the ball on like jet sweeps and things like that. And a guy that is just such a really nice, crisp route runner like Elijah Moore, but he's got that quickness and elusiveness that a receiving back has. And you can kind of use him as both. Like that was exciting, man. Like I saw it like twice last week where they had him there, but they like motioned him out before the snap. And so you're just like, oh, whatever.
Well, I'll tell you.
Well, I just got my Guardians tickets for the 24th.
Oh, love it. Okay. I just wanted to build on your point. On the one really great Deshaun pass to Donovan Peoples-Jones that ended up being a touchdown, Elijah Moore comes out of the backfield, and he's open too, right?
Wide open.
He stops on a dime, and I think Denzel Ward's on him, and
no, Denzel Ward was the one that DPJ cooked.
You're right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But my point, Elijah Moore breaks in. He's open too. All roads lead to Rome, and Rome is a touchdown land.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was not. I mean, that's a thing that that's one of my biggest notes was lining him out of the backfield, lining him up in the backfield out of the shotgun. And it's just like you start doing that and you start messing around with like kind of the ways that you're going to do it. Like you could run it with him. You could run a screen. You could run a traditional screen, not even a wide receiver bubble screen, but a traditional screen. And then you got to really figure this thing out because are you going to put a linebacker on Elijah Moore? coming out of the backfield. Like, what are you going to do? This is the changing that we wanted to see. This is the evolution that we have, wanted to see under Kevin Stefanski with Deshaun Watson, that I think we kind of saw in training camp last year. We didn't really see it during the regular season. They tried to do a bunch of that stuff against Houston, but you could tell that it was just clunky, and they were just like, let's go back to the regular Kevin Stefanski Kubiak style offense and just get through these last 5 games after that first one. Let's just get him to knock some rust off, and let's just get him back into the swing of things. We'll worry about the evolution of the offense next year, because we did see some of this stuff last year in OTAs and training camp before. Yeah. But we, like you had mentioned earlier, we did know a suspension was coming, but we really had no idea if it was going to be it ranged. Some people thought it was going to be 0 and that he'd get suspended this year. Yeah. And some people thought it would be he would never play again. I mean, it was all over the map. So we didn't really necessarily know. I love that a lot. So I love that Elijah Moore is lining up in the backfield. This next comment is directed mainly at voluntary OTAs before this week, because we didn't see a ton out of Amari Cooper prior to this week because of the rehab situation. He did practice a little bit last week. He did ramp it up a little bit. But man, does Deshaun Watson like Elijah Moore in these practices. These At least the clips and the information that we are getting and what we can see. I'm not on the ground there. I'll be up there for a lot of training camp, but I'm not up there right now. But what we can see, there is a lot of 4 to 8 highlights. And I said that with a grain of salt, that Cooper is rehabbing, because wasn't a full go. I don't even think he's a full go yet, but you get what I'm saying is He wasn't a full go at all prior to this. And that's when I made this comment. They ran some stuff last week that they ran a lot of option looks that you don't see in the NFL, that you see in college. They ran power options, speed options, jet sweep options. You're talking about, you remember in NCAA 05, and you'd go like this, and then you'd hit the right bumper and he would throw it out. They're running that stuff. That is the stuff we're seeing. The run game out of the shotgun from the Browns is the most vanilla, boring, predictable run game you've ever seen. It's got to evolve. Well, we're already seeing that. And now you can't see a ton of the run until we get into training camp, because you don't have full pads and that sort of stuff. But you are seeing a completely different style of offense. They are going to live in the shotgun this year. We are now seeing evidence of what we thought we would see. And now you're looking at a team that is diversifying and building around a franchise player at quarterback. And I think it's going to be exciting.
Well, there was concern, and you know what? I'm with you. I want to start by saying that I agree with you, Jacob, and I think you broke it down and put it really nicely. But there was concern that maybe Kevin Stefanski was not going to be adaptable, and because he's really run a lot of the same offense throughout his offensive coordinator and head coaching time. And so there was concern. It was his next step, Kevin Stefanski's next step is, okay, Kevin, we've given you guys who are far more versatile and have a very different skill set than what we've seen you work with previously, right? He got Jacoby's best out of him. He's got Baker's best out of him, but those are very different offenses. And so I think his biggest test is, we have given you this tremendous potential. Can you maximize it? Are you the right guy? Right? Because Kevin's on the hot seat. No matter how you spin it, Kevin's on the hot seat. And so his next test is, can you maximize the stuff? And you're seeing from the very beginning of camp that he is implementing the new schemes and new ways to do so. And so I'm tremendously encouraged by that. Obviously, this is Justin Schwartz, and there's a lot to go from here. But the fact that this is what you're practicing from day one shows the mission that you're on. And so I love that. And you know what? I think, so maybe not from an X's and O's perspective, but I was at almost every camp that was open to the public last year. And The one thing that really stuck out to me that Deshaun himself struggled with was his deep ball. It just, for whatever reason, when he would go deep, he had a real accuracy struggles. And we haven't, it's not like we have infinite tape to show, but it certainly looks like just Deshaun himself looks more confident. He looks like he's having more fun. His demeanor is certainly more positive. And I've noticed whether it's to Goodwin or Donovan Peoples-Jones, there was one to Tillman. There's a lot more Deshaun passes that are going 20 plus yards down the field that look like they are way more on the mark than they were last year. And so again, I said I was going to overreact. I'm trying to be a little more measured. It's encouraging to me to see Deshaun looking more confident because we've known him to be a really accurate passer. And of all the things we watched last year, I think the biggest oddity to me was the way Deshaun struggled to connect down the field. And so that was something I was looking for early on. And it's something I'm going to be monitoring throughout the time because I'm going to go to as many training camps as I possibly can. But when you're trying to gauge where these guys are at in Schwartz, I think year to year, that's one of the biggest struggles I thought he had. And he definitely looks like he's improved in that area as well, because you've got guys, between Goodwin and I don't know, is it more going to be that dynamic? Are they going to use him? It's interesting to see how they're using him, but overall, it's hard not to be really encouraged by what we're seeing.
Yeah, there's really not another way to put it. I think what you can see right now, what you can learn, has been good. And it's funny because there's this thing that's been going around on the Twitter, and obviously we haven't been around to really comment on it, and we'll kind of take it. Apparently, you're not allowed to be optimistic anymore, and it's like, well, they need to show it on the field, okay, but they can't in June. So what can they do in June? They can have talent. They've signed talent. They've drafted talent. They've traded for talent. They're going out there and what they can control right now. It's fine to be optimistic. It's fine if you want to be wait and see too. I don't care. But I'm not going to tell you that you're dumb for wanting to see it on the field. So I get that. I understand that. I watched all these optimistic off seasons turn into failure. I've been there for them with you. It's like, yeah, we're there. I totally understand that. But with what can be controlled, it's trending where it needed to trend. Mm-hmm. And, people are like, well, it's the Browns. So it's like, okay, if Pittsburgh's not a good example because I really like Alex Highsmith, but if Pittsburgh adds Zadarius Smith opposite TJ Watt, they're going to the Super Bowl. As soon as you added him to Myles Garrett, he was overrated. And it's just funny. And I'm not like that Cleveland against the world guy. I'm not. I get the people, that's not me. But every step that they have made has been to add players I've watched other fan bases clamor for, but then say suck when they came here. And I'm just like, if you want to be wait and see, I respect it. Sure. But you don't get to tell me that I can't be happy about a team improving, just the same that I can't tell you that the wait and see approach seems a little silly to me because the reasoning is it's the Browns. I think that's silly because I don't think the past has anything to do with this year. I get it, but I don't think the past of other teams and front office structures have any impact on this. Drew brought this up. Good Morning Football did the same thing with Cleveland to D-Hop. Yeah, I saw it.
Sure did. They
were saying he's lost the step, he's this, he's that, and then all of a sudden they'll light up if he's going to go to New England with Bill Belichick, which I stand by the fact that there's no way he's going to go play.
Why would you? Why? But you said you want to win What did Mac Jones and the Patriots do last year that if you're DeAndre Hopkins and you're 31 and we know how much normal people at 32 hurt, right? Yeah, so DeAndre's time is ticking. if you're wanting to go win a ring, I don't see how you say to yourself, I'm going to New England. No disrespect to them. They've been great for a long time. Mac Jones is not, I mean, it was Bailey Zappi against us last year. Right. And so I just don't understand, which is really interesting, by the way. I wasn't sure if we were going to get into the D-Hop stuff, but all of a sudden it's like the Bills just signed Leonard Floyd using a bunch of their cap space, and there's all these teams. Dallas said they weren't interested. Kansas City apparently is not interested. A lot of the potential suitors, right? Like I think right now the Lions are currently the actively the DraftKings leader odds wise, which again there's excitement around the Lions as well. But I just think if you're DeAndre Hopkins and you're looking at these quarterbacks who could potentially throw you the ball. If the Chiefs and Bills aren't interested, your best quarterback option is absolutely Deshaun Watson of all the teams that have been reported. That's where I come off with it. I'm not sure where you're at, Jacob.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm not sure as like suitors fall out. I personally I wouldn't do it. Like
Okay.
That's where I've been this whole time is I really like what they got and I'm not looking to mess it up. That being said, if you're going to sign a good football player that makes your team better, I'm not. I think an offense with Amari Cooper as a 1A and I think Elijah Moore is 1B. I don't think he's a 2. I think he's 1B. And I think with what he can do, and then you add in Donovan Peoples-Jones and David Njoku and Jordan Akins and Nick Chubb and like – I'm just not seeing where it fits, but that because you're going to take targets from somebody,
sure.
Like whose targets you're going to take, right? Are you going to take Elijah Moore's targets? Because I don't know, man. Right? Like he's really poised to do something. Are you going to take some of Amari Cooper's targets? Because like he's younger and more effective, I think, than DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know. I don't think it makes sense from an overall team building perspective. But if you sit there and you say, okay, he's going to come, and I'm not worried really about the money because everybody says, oh, people will talk shit about it's not your effing money. It's shut up. That is the laziest argument. It's not your money. No, but when you spend too much or spend money in areas you don't need to, it will come back later. So if you spend money on him, that's less money that you roll over so that you can keep other talent. That's less money to make it to where you can offer other extensions to players that are younger and are going to be around a while. And if you start saying, well, let's add some void years like with everybody else, okay, but are you getting like how long of D-Hop are you getting? Are you getting 1 game? Are you getting 2 games? Now, people that are trying to say he's completely washed, that's bullpucky. That's not true. He is a very good football player. He's not an elite separator anymore, but he's still, or I shouldn't say he's not an elite separator. He's still a very good separator. He's just not an elite vertical threat anymore. I think he's a little bit slower, but like not by much. So like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't want the move because Hopkins stinks, because he doesn't. I just want to say that I'd rather keep that cap for people like Elijah Moore, who I think is on the cusp of breaking out, so that you can extend him. And it's not about DPJ, because I think DPJ is gone anyway. I think Cedric Tillman's his replacement after this year.
Okay.
But I say no, because I really think what you have going right now, that'll throw it off a little bit. But man, if it happens,
and
it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah. See, and I've been on the other side of the coin, and I know you know that. And I've wanted the Browns to get DeAndre Hopkins because I know how much rides on this year. I know, and I don't think you find yourself in a situation very often where a wide receiver of the caliber of DeAndre Hopkins is out there in free agency, and you literally
this late in the year.
Yeah. And you've literally got the quarterback that he's been most successful with. Right,
yeah.
like that's a real, like, the stars are aligning scenario, to me at least, to where I could see why it would make sense. That's a dynamic talent. That's somebody that you've already seen be great, and so I think when you have such an important year, if you can add that guy for just money, you don't even have to give up assets. Now I understand there's costs to that. I get that. But if you're in a scenario, like you just said, Jacob, where if you're telling me that the assumption is that Donovan Peoples-Jones is gone next year, then in that scenario, I want to add DeAndre Hopkins this year. That's where I come out on that. But I think last year there was kind of this narrative that it's like, oh, well, is Amari Cooper a true one wide receiver? And then on top of that, it was like, well, it's Amari Cooper. And then who do the Browns really have? It's like everybody else, right? And I feel like Donovan Peoples-Jones got a little bit disrespected in that regard because he did almost have 900 yards last year with Jacoby throwing him the majority of his passes. And so on the other side of that, I honestly, you know what? It's really nice early on here to see this Elijah Moore, Deshaun Watson connection because like we said last year, there was this narrative that it's like you've got Amari Cooper and then there's everybody else. And it really doesn't feel like that's the situation. Honestly, I feel like Donovan would be like if the Browns enter this year with Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones as the top 3 wide receivers. I feel good about that. Like I feel good about that. I feel like those 3 guys are in a position that they're going to be productive for you. And then that's on top of, you've added Goodwin and you've got Tillman, who I do feel good about, although he's a rookie. But my point is that this year you can see early on in camp that there's chemistry with multiple wide receivers. And so there's not this prevailing thought out there that it's like everything rides on Amari Cooper. And if there's no Amari Cooper, then who are the Browns going to throw to? Myles Garrett leaves the Browns with injury last year and they have 0 pass rush. Like I would feel still good about the ability of Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones to be your productive wide receivers in the event that Amari Cooper was forced to miss time or something like that. So I think there's I don't know. I do want DeAndre Hopkins, but I feel like the Browns have risen overall in the wide receiver room enough that you could say maybe we should pause here for a second. And
I just think the money could be better spent. Like he's not the missing piece in my opinion. Like that's like because that's what some people are trying to get out. Like like he really puts you over the top, and yeah, like he does make you better. Like if somebody's saying otherwise, they're wrong. But he's not the missing piece.
Sure.
So like for me, it's like I'm not. I mean, is it coming on like a $3 million deal? Like, yeah, I'll sign anybody for $3 million. But like, he's not looking for $3 million, and I don't blame him. Like, I go get your money.
Do you think there's a chance because all of these teams have been reportedly out? I know he wants Odell money, and I'm not here to disparage the guy. But if there's not enough suitors, is there a chance that maybe the Browns could get themselves a little bit of a bargain? Maybe.
Yeah, and I think that's the only way it happens.
Okay.
Like if and now we're being told that like could be very. It might not be imminent. I've been told like it could be very. And like, Watson wants him there, and like they asked Amari Cooper, and Amari Cooper was like, yeah, bring him in here. Like, who wouldn't want him in here, And it's like, yeah, man, like if you can make it work, you can make it work. But I'm just like, I'm good. I'm good. Okay. Question: do you have a press pass? I believe so. I'm not 100% yet on that. Josh. Elijah Moore, DPJ, and Amari Cooper are worth more to us than DeAndre Hopkins. I don't want us to risk the Rams 2022 style. It's a good point. I mean, that's one of the things you haven't completely gone that route yet, but like you could get there real quick. Spend that money on. Yeah, I'm fine with re-signing Delpit. I'm not sure it'll happen. If the options for him are us or he goes to another AC North rival or any other team that we're playing this year, then we need to at least try. Yeah, no, like that's my thing. You should definitely call. Like you should call and you should see. Like that's the thing. I'm not like shutting it down completely. I'm just saying like if it was me, I probably wouldn't unless it was like just really nice. I'd rather have a veteran running back who can carry a workload. Yeah, like that's my point. I think that money could go get you another 3 tech, sure. so that it's not.
God. There may be another Browns move here. There may still be.
there's a lot of Jordan Elliott playing next to Dalvin Tomlinson, and I'm just gonna listen. I'm gonna find out who it is that keeps forcing Jordan Elliott on me and trying to make me optimistic about it every offseason. I'm gonna find him and I'm gonna slap him. Not Jordan Elliott; he'd kill me. The guy that's forcing Jordan Elliott on me. It's not. No. All right. This thing is God. We are just spiraling. This thing is just going down the hill.
It's fun, man. It's fun. That's all.
There's a quote. Hold on, man. There's this quote I bookmarked from last week when I was on vacation because I want to make sure I talked about it. Let's see if I can find this. Oh man, where'd it go? I said I bookmarked it.
Well,
but it was a comment about like Schwartz is simplifying for less communication issues. He's very vocal and he loves the F word. That's what I I'm like, me too, bud. Like you, me, peas in a pod. Like that is 100% where we're at. So I want to talk a little bit about Schwartz.
Okay.
We talked about the fact that I just ooze love for Elijah Moore. So any of you think you're a bigger Elijah Moore stan than me, eat it, because you're not. Except Tyler. Tyler is trying to be a bigger stan than me, but I will not allow it.
Absolutely not.
He knows this too. We've had conversations. So this is from last week. The press conference with, I wanted to highlight some of the answers from Jim Schwartz's presser last week. Yeah, it was on Memorial Day. No, it wasn't. It was on the 31st. I was in Florida and there was bears. I saw bears down there. Did you know that? Did you know that the part of Florida I was in was bear country? Nobody told me that until I was down there.
Well, you're back alive. That's good.
Somehow the bear knew it was trash day. When the trash was out, he was roaming all around.
Hey, good for him. Gotta get
bears.
Well,
bears. I got stories about vacation. Maybe we'll get to them. I don't think we will. And just some really cool things that kind of some things that he said about kind of the things that he's looking for. There's a quote where they were asking him like, how are things coming along with the defense? And of course he started, it's too soon to tell, that sort of situation. Because you're not full contact. You can't really tell what you can't tell. But he said, we're making progress on schemes and communication. We were pretty crappy early on. I love this dude, man. I listened and then reread this presser and was just like, oh my God. He said, we were pretty crappy early on. We needed a little kick in the butt to get going a little bit today. But communication, getting some things under our feet. We're getting a little bit better there, but the road will hit the rubber when training camp comes and we can play with toughness and effort and physicality. That is something that keeps coming up. When you listen to Jim Schwartz talk, when you listen to anything said about Jim Schwartz, you're going to hear a lot of things about toughness, effort, physicality, communication. Things that we saw the team lack last year. That's why I brought this up. That's why I was bringing this up on the show, is just because I think it's important for those of us that complained about X, Y, and Z last year, and now Schwartz putting an emphasis on that sort of stuff. And he also talked about input and being open to input from his players, being open. That was something that came out again today as well.
Yep.
Sorry, I got acid reflux, and when it calls. But just talking about simplification, talking about communicating, talking about finding ways to fix these issues was a major issue. What Jake Burns said, what did he say? Every defense does about 5 things really well, and they don't care if you know that. Like, defenses don't have to be overly complicated if they do things really well. And that was something that he was talking about. It's like, they're not going to hide their coverages. They're not going to hide their stunts. They're going to line up and do what they do well and be in the right place and communicate and give effort and be tough, be physical. And it just oozes. Like that stuff just oozes from Jim Schwartz. And they were asking him, about the upgraded pass rush. And, you can kind of, he says, oh, yeah, here we go. Alex Wright. You're right. Talking about guys that Alex Wright and Jordan Elliott have really stood out. Both of them stood out for a lot of stuff. I think both of them can contribute inside. There's the big one. Last week, Jim Schwartz elaborates to Alex Wright playing on the inside. This is something that I thought in the areas that he did play well last year, that being Alex Wright, I thought came more on the inside than the outside. Granted, we talked about this. He was never supposed to see the field as much as he did last year because of injuries. He just wasn't ready. But now you're talking about putting him in the areas that we have seen him be successful. You're talking about being creative. You're talking about moving people around, but not being so creative that your players don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
There's a difference between creative and complex. And you're trying to start to see that. That's what Schwartz is talking about. He's talking about just simplifying things. Like they don't need to be these crazy coverages. No, Jim Schwartz talked about using a 5-man front. So that means 5 pass rushers. It doesn't mean necessarily a blitzer. It means 5 guys on the line. It could be one of those situations where Zadarius Smith is there. I'm sorry. This comment. Oh, God. Wait, a coach wants to cater to the player's strengths?
Right. You know what?
Bravo. What a compliment.
And I got to say, you know what? You said that defenses or that Jim Schwartz, they're going to do things well, and they don't care if you know. Jim Schwartz is literally telling you, we're going to play man. We know.
Yes, I was getting to that. Yeah.
Yeah, we know our secondary is far better, and the stats show and back up that they are far better and far more equipped to play man. And I remember last year, I have a friend who we all have a friend that just gets on a hill of some brown something, and they just will die on that hill. And every time I watch a lot of games with him, every time I would watch a game with him, he would yell about the fact that Joe Woods refused to play man. And at week in and week out, he would just yell. And so and now you've gone from a guy who literally ignored these stats, which for such an analytics-based coaching staff, I have no idea how you could look at the stats and say, we're way better in man than we are in zone, and we're just going to keep playing zone. I don't get that. Anyway, now you've done a complete 180. You've got a coordinator that says, we're playing man. I don't care if you know it or not. I know that this secondary is equipped and good enough to do so. And I am so excited about that. I play to your strengths. Play to what you do well. It was blatantly obvious. If fans sitting on the couch know that you're way better at man than you are at zone, and you're still rolling out zone every day, well, I'm sorry. Good luck to Joe Woods over in New Orleans. I'm really glad we got Jim Schwartz.
So the 5-down rushers, like one of the things is you could see a lot of Zadarius Smith and Okoronkwo next to each other. Yeah. One of them like as a stand-up linebacker on the outside, and then just man across the board behind him. That is a lot of the stuff that we've heard is like bringing 5 guys, 5-man fronts, bring them, play man behind it. In the first, what was the lineup they said they'd use today? It was Miles and Okoronkwo at the edge, Dalvin Tomlinson and Zadarius Smith at D tackle.
Oh, that's
and some early, and of course, you can't learn anything other than formations from that because there's no offensive line blocking and there's none of that. So you can't really learn from that. But you're seeing that sort of thing that we've talked about. A lot of dudes on this line can go inside, they can go outside, especially now they're talking about Alex Wright doing that even more. Mm-hmm. Zadarius Smith has had a ton of success doing that. Miles has had a ton of success doing that. It's just, this dude's going to go out there and be like, listen, I got some dudes that can rush the quarterback and I got some dudes that can cover. Figure it out. And I think you're seeing exactly why people like me and a lot of you were excited to get Jim Schwartz. And let's see, I got a couple of Yeah. You got a yogi tattoo, I think.
Maybe I need to get one.
Maybe he does. Josh, we know that you're the biggest fan out there on the planet. We appreciate the hell out of you.
Thanks for being here, Josh. Thanks to everybody for being here.
Yeah. Hey, I just love this one. Wait, a coach that caters?
Right.
A coach that knows what he's doing?
I don't want to dunk on the guy, but this one was just blatant, and so I'm so happy about Schwartz. I really think, you know what, when you talk about all the reasons that the Browns could be better in 2023, I think Jim Schwartz is one of the biggest reasons, and that saying
you
something.
Said that right as this comment popped up.
Oh yeah, I'm maximized. I swear, I can't see the comments. We are on the same page, MPC.
Yeah, it's.
I just there's one piece, there's one little thing that you know what, I mentioned that our friends over at the Faithful Dogs posted the clip today of Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith going against each other on the sled drills, and I was thinking about this today. It just kind of occurred to me, Zadarius Smith might be the first guy opposite of Myles to truly challenge him and really poke him, prod him, motivate him to be better. It felt like, I feel like all the other years that Myles has been here, like Myles is going to be indisputable.
You've had one good year from Clowney, and that was about it.
You had one good year from Clowney, but Clowney just, I don't think anyone would say, Clowney's this motivator, this guy that's going to come in.
Oh, no, he's the opposite of that, actually.
Yes. And I just got those vibes from Zadarius, like challenging Myles. I've never seen another Brown do that, but like in a positive way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like in a way of like, let's compete against each other. Let's see. And honestly, I think Myles needs something like that. I feel like from day one, Myles has stepped on the field. His first play was a sack. He's just been your best defensive player, and that's it. And yes, Myles is still going to be your best defensive player, but you need somebody with a little bit of edge to them. You need somebody that's not just going to be, Myles is the alpha and everybody else is not. Like, I like that from Zadarius, and I think it's new for Myles. I don't think it's any accident that you saw them together so much. People are trying to poo-poo that, like, oh, they say they play the same position, of course they're going to be by each other. There's definitely a theme going on there, and I really like it. I think maybe Zadarius is the type of personality you needed in that room to really get people motivated, fired up, and make everybody else better.
Yeah, and I think that you could. It's funny, Jeff said, "Can we talk that Z might be bigger than?"
He's big.
Bigger than Myles. He's bigger than I've. Listen, I know he's a big player. I didn't realize he was big enough to look like that next to Myles, because I've always thought of him as more of a stand-up rusher, and I was like, oh my god, I'm pretty stupid. And I watched a ton of his tape, but I did not. He was even bigger, man. It was just like. Yeah, and then seeing him get off faster than Myles and them competing.
That was good.
That's fun stuff, man. It's fun stuff, and you want to see them cut loose and have fun and do these things, and it's just been so much fun. I've been having just trying to contain excitement over this kind of just shorts and t-shirts and shorts and helmets, and I'm not supposed to be this excited, but like the things that you want to see so far, we've seen it. Okay. Yep. The things that we can see at this point in June, we've seen it. We'll get some more of it. We'll talk more about the mandatory camp as we'll have a couple more days of practices before next week's show. One quick thing as we get here to the end of this, as we wrap it up, this year's charity fundraiser, I'm going to share it into the comments again on YouTube. If you're watching live, of course, it's in the description down below. If you're listening on Apple or anything like that, or if you're watching on the replay, we are raising money for Project Sanctuary that really looks to help military families heal, both active duty, both veterans, the whole family. It's the only organization that does that. They work on communication techniques, and they use retreats, and they do all of these things to try to make sure that the military families can heal as a whole, not just the military service member, but everybody. For every $50 we raise, I will get shot with a paintball gun. That is what's going to happen. If you donate $100 or more, you'll probably be able to come pull the trigger on said shotgun. I will get shot up to 20 times in a row with a paintball gun. That is our goal. Shoot me 20 times. Let's get to $1,000. Let's help make sure that those that have paid a really big sacrifice are able to heal and move on. So that is there if you want to check that out. Faithful Dogs coming up. I'll be back with almost to the end of the film room, Dorian Thompson-Robinson this week.
Ooh.
We'll do the film room on him on Thursday for channel members, Friday for everybody else. Subscribe to the channel, or subscribe, give us a thumbs up, join the channel, get early access to some videos and some exclusive emoticons and other things. That's $2.99 a month. We appreciate the hell out of you.
I've got a couple things I want to leave you with. I don't think there's anything that says I listen to the Barking Brown show more than Josh using "boy howdy."
Yeah.
that Josh, we appreciate you, and yes, I think that's the most positive takeaway I have. I just want to highlight this real quick. It's very rare that a premier player from the AFC North goes to another team in the AFC North. I'm so excited to see Zadarius Smith lining up against Baltimore and just what comes with that, because I can't think of the last player that was, like Zadarius was really good with Baltimore, right? And I can't think of the last player like on an AFC North team that was really good and that is still in their prime that goes to another AFC North team and they go back and face one another.
No love for Paul Kruger?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So that's going to be spicy. I love it. I love seeing them motivated each other. Just thank you to everybody. I want to say to you, we have a lot planned here at 216. Sometimes it's overwhelming how many things we're trying to work on at once, but this year is going to be our best year yet. And so for all of you that have been here with us already, and all of you that have ridden along with us, I can't wait to see where it goes and to bring you guys everything we want, because this is every day that Jacob and I do this, every day that all the guys from 216 do this is our dream. This is what we're pursuing. We're going to bring you so many fun things. So thank you to everybody for being here. We missed you for 2 weeks. It was weird. That's the longest break. It's the longest break Jacob and I have ever taken. We're 105 episodes in. We've never missed 2 weeks. But we recharged the batteries. I think everybody's excited. Thank you to you all. This has been episode 105 of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Nick. He's Jacob. Go Browns.
Don't ever get sunburn on the top of your feet. It sucks.